Hello YouTube, today I'm going to be taking a look at the Pathfinder Arcane spell cards. This is one of the most recent products for 2nd edition Pathfinder, and is part of a set that includes the primal spells, occult spells, divine spells, and even the focus spells. I don't know if I'm going to do videos for all the individual card decks unless it's something that might be of interest to you guys watching this, so if you want to see them all, let me know. Right now my plan is to look at the Arcane Deck because it gives you an idea of how these cards are formatted, what to expect when you purchase this. And I might do one of the other, probably the primal cards, just because I am curious to see if cards that appear on multiple lists, if they're printed in both sets or all the sets that they appear in, or if there's one that they're that they're in primarily. I'm pretty sure that they're all in. Like if you bought the primal cards, any card that's both on primal and arcane, I'm sure they're both there, but it's more of a curiosity thing. So we'll just take a look at the box here. On the bottom, it has the retail price. The retail price of this is $29.99 US, and it was $39.99 Canadian. So that was the price that I ended up paying for it. And it has your iconic Pathfinder wizard on the box there, on 3 of the sides. Then on the other side here we have the slogan says, magic explodes from your fingertips when you hold Pathfinder spell cards in hand. This must-have accessory for arcane spellcasters contains more than 200 spell cards, covering every arcane spell in the Pathfinder core rulebook and giving players intimate access to game details at a glance. On the top here, it also gives us an example of what the product might look like, or what it does look like. So you've got the same artwork from the box on the back of the cards, or at least most of the cards. We'll get to that in a moment. And then your basic spell card there. So the first thing that I want to mention about this that I really like is the box itself. So this comes in a pretty sturdy, thick cardboard box that has the sliding top off of it. It's not one that's put in like a thin cardstock box with a flap on it, so I actually do like this quite a bit more. I feel more confident having this in my backpack when I go to my local game store to hopefully start running Pathfinder 2nd edition soon. We're getting near that point, which is great. So I'd feel better having something like this in there than the much thinner boxes that I've actually had get damaged and even come apart at the seams. So this is something that I like the physical construction of this quite a bit. Inside, you've got your cards here. I've only got one package opened. I'm not going to open up the second one in this video, but there's also a spacer included. And at first I was kind of curious as to why they would do that, but then it immediately hit me that other products coming out in the future are going to have their own spells included. So instead of doing like another one specific to each school of magic, they would have, or source of magic, I should say, they would probably just do one for like the Advanced Player's Guide, for example. We'll just have all the spells that appear in that, and then have that as a separate set if they decide to do that, so you can divide them up and put all the arcane spells in here. So it's basically room for expansion, so I do like that. So here we have the cards themselves. And so it gives you all the, like I said, it's all the spells. So, and they are organized by level. So you've got your cantrips, 1st level spells, 2nd level spells, and then 3rd level spells in this bundle. And I think it's just, you even get a few 4th level spells. And then the other ones are all in the rest of them. Like I said, I'm not gonna go through every single card. I just want you to get an idea of what's in here if you go to purchase this. So we also have an instruction card, which basically just says, this deck contains all spells from the Pathfinder core rulebook for the arcane spell list. The full text for each spell is provided whenever possible, though some longer or more complex spells have been abbreviated and include a page reference to the full spell description of the core rulebook. The full rules for casting spells begin on page 302 of the core rulebook, so it gives you that information there. So what I want to do is just take a look at a few specific cards here. So we'll go with Acid Splash, Unseen Servant, and let's go with Magic Missile. So again, just a few of the spells. I'm not going to go through every single one, but there are just some things, again, for you to expect to see on these cards, the way that they're formatted. So first, we're just going to look at the cantrip card here. So we have Acid Splash, And as you can see with Acid Splash, it gives you the fact that it's Arcane Deck here on the very top. Cantrip 1, so the spell level is on the top corner there, along with the name. You have the keywords, so Acid Attack, Cantrip, and Evocation. The traditions, so Arcane and Primal. So the Primal deck should also have, I imagine, one of these cards in there as well. And the casting time, so 2 actions, somatic and verbal components. Range 30 feet, targets 1 creature, and then it gives you the description. So this one says, you splash a glob of acid that splatters creatures, make a spell attack. If you hit, deal 1d6 acid damage plus 1 splash and acid plus 1 splash acid damage. So everything within, that's basically adjacent to the target that gets hit takes 1 damage, and if you get a critical success, the target that you make the attack roll against also takes 1 persistent acid damage. So that's every single round. And then it gives you the different heightened. So if you have access to like 3rd level spell slots, this automatically, I believe, increases. So the initial damage increases to 1d6 plus your spellcasting ability modifier, and the persistent damage increases to 2. At 5th level, or at the 5th level of power, I guess I should say, the initial damage increases to 2d6 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. Persistent damage increases to 3, and the splash damage increases to 2, and it just sort of continues on like that, adding 1d6 to the base damage, the 1 to the persistent damage, and 1 to the splash damage. So that's the way that the standard cards look. And then if you flip it over, you'll have the artwork there. So you got their wizard character along with the just the Arcane deck here. It doesn't give you the level of the spell or anything on the back, but that's fine if you're trying to flip through these anyway or try to sort through them. It's just as easy to have like the name and the spell level on the front, so that's perfectly fine by me. And then just to show you the Magic Missile one, so that was a cantrip, this is an actual spell. Pretty much the same thing though, you get the Magic Missile name, the spell level there, and then the description of what it does, the traditions, the casting actions, which is 1 action, 1, 2, or 3 actions, so you have a choice there. Range 120 feet, targets 1 creature, gives you the description of how it works. So you send a dart of magical force, automatically hits, deals 1d4 plus 1. However, if you decide to use multiple actions, so if you use a second action, for each additional action you spend, it grants you an additional missile. Up to a maximum of 3 missiles for 3 actions. So if you're under the effects of haste or something like that, that grants you an extra action on your turn, you can still only use 3 to actually use the Magic Missile with. And that gives you, they all do 1d4 plus 1, and you can target them all on the same creature, or you can target them on different creatures. If multiple missiles hit the same target, then you add the damage together before factoring in things like resistances or vulnerabilities, which is cool. And then for every 2 spell levels above first that you cast the spell at, you shoot 1 additional missile for each action you spend. So at 2nd level, you can get 6 missiles with all 3 actions. At 3rd level, you can get up to 9 missiles. So, I mean, having an attack that automatically hits with no saving throw for 9d4 plus 9 is actually not that bad. So, great stuff there. And again, we just have the back of the card. So that's the way that most of the cards in this set are going to look. However, there are some that have some different issues, or there's more to them. And Unseen Servant is one of the cards that I want to use here, because this is the one that I kind of like the most. Now, as you can see, the basic spell description doesn't take up a lot of room on the card, but it does say continued on the back. So for cards, if the description doesn't fit entirely on one face of the card, they will actually use the other side. So in this case, with Unseen Servant, the second side of the other side of the card gives you the statistics, the physical statistics of the Unseen Servant that you summon. But other spells, for example, like Charm Person is one of those as well. Just find it here really quick. Or Charm, I guess, is the name of the spell. So Charm also flips over to the back, so you can see here that they will utilize both sides of the card rather than give you just bare bones stuff on one side of the card and then give you the page reference. So it looks like they do make as much effort as possible to get the full description on the card, and they are willing to utilize both sides of the card, which I think is awesome. And it feels like Paizo has paid attention to criticisms that people have had maybe about other companies' products and have considered that when making their own. And again, they never fail to sort of surprise me or amaze me with how they manage to, or how they decide to do things. And I just think that this is an awesome product. To me, this is one of the best types of, they just always have really good accessories in my opinion. So like Paizo just always seems to nail it out of the park. Their equipment cards were fantastic. Probably the best equipment cards that I've seen of the limited, admittedly, but of the ones that I've had access to. The creature cards from the Bestiary Battle Deck was fantastic, and the fact that they would use multiple cards rather than again only give you part of the stat block and then force you to use the book, because with these cards you really want to use the books as little as possible. So there are going to be some spells that are just, there's just way too much to them to even be able to include on both sides of the card. But if, you know, if possible, they will make as much use of the full card as they can. And I think that that is an absolutely fantastic design decision. So really happy with that overall. And I think that this is an absolutely excellent product. And it just, again, goes to show the type of quality that you can expect from the Pathfinder or the Paizo accessories in general. So again, just another fantastic product, and I highly recommend it. So that is my look at the Arcane spell cards. Let me know in the comments below if you've picked these up and used them in your game. How much, you know, how much quicker can things flow without having to flip through books and try to find the proper pages for things. And just let me know what your thoughts are on them in general. Also, if you want to see me do openings for every single one of these products in this line, let me know as well. Right now, like I said, I'm only really planning on looking at the Primal cards and maybe the Focus spell cards. But if you want to see the Occult deck and the Divine deck, which I don't have yet, but I should have that Divine deck really soon, I could do those as well. So just let me know if you guys want to see that or not. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Take care.